I was outside, enjoying the view, enjoying like the nature, the birds, and everything like that, enjoying the outside. And I realized with seeing things like this, it makes me realize that things are going to be okay in any situation, and it's going to get better because there's great positives out in the world. Like, look at this. It may not look too much to you, but to me right now, this is just quite peaceful, quite beautiful to me right now. And plus, I raked up the leaves in the corner, so it makes me feel like my work. It makes me feel proud about looking at the view. So with that being said, it makes me feel like with the small things and the small hobbies and the small things that you do in the world, I feel like that should let you know that it's going to be okay. Because if it wasn't going to be okay, there wouldn't be things like this in the world. I feel like there wouldn't be the hobbies that you do, the people that you hang around with, the accomplishments that you make, if things were never going to be okay, if things were always going to be shit. And I feel like it's also having a mindset of telling yourself that it's going to be okay. And, and with it being okay, and it has to be okay, because I have moments like this, situations like this, where the weather is nice, where the trees are blooming, everything's nice, grass is coming back alive, and it started off dead. It wasn't, none of this was here not too long ago, like a month ago. But now it started to come back, and it kind of made me realize as well that with spring, it's supposed to bloom new life, new flowers, new possibilities, new opportunities, new chances with life and nature. And I feel like that's the same with us as well, that we can have our own spring. We can have months where or like days where we're down, but there'll be days where we can have spring, where there's a new chance, a new opportunity that we're blooming into, that we're creating or causing or making happen because of our choices. And we're saying to ourselves that it is okay, that we're going to get better from this situation. And, this isn't just it, these small little, bumps in the road, these small little drops in the bucket aren't really nothing, when you really think about it. There's more grateful things in the world that can go on, and, more things that you can be more appreciative of. And I feel like sometimes why things things are bad, because you're not in the situation and you're not saying, hey, I appreciate it, I got the things that I got right now. I appreciate the weather, I appreciate the clothes that I got. I appreciate the success that I have gotten so far. I appreciate the friends that I have. I appreciate all that. You're not saying this to yourself, you're just going out about the day, but like, oh, you're pulling out all the negativities, and that's why you think it's not going to be okay. But it's going to be okay if you point out the positives and worry about the positives and look at the positives, and it's trying to start to enjoy the little things about the world, and start trying to enjoy the little hobbies and habits that you have and all that. But with that being said, it's going to be okay no matter in what situation you are, because you can always make it through. There's a lot of positives in the world, and I feel like if you look for them, that's going to prove to you that it's going to be okay, that you're going to get through the storm. And you have to go through the storm head first as well. That's another thing that I want to talk about, is you have to go through the storm head first for it to be okay. You can't run away from your problems. You can't put temporary issues. You can't smoke, do drugs, or fucking go to parties and shit like that. No, sometimes you have to face your problems head on, or it's never going to be okay either. You have to have a positive mindset, and you have to face your problems head on. Because, the storm's always going to be chasing you. With cows and bulls, the only difference is, a cow will run away from the storm. So the storm's chasing after them. They're running away from the storm. They have to go, so they just have to keep running until the storm basically ends. And who knows how long that may be. That may be a couple hours. A lot of cows die from that. But with bulls, they run straight into the storm. They run, right head on. And they get through the storm the fastest, the quickest, because they're not worried about what the storm's going to do. They're just getting through it. They're just going through it, they're just they're heading to the problem head first, and not looking back, and just realizing that the best way to get through this is heading on by going through it, by heading onto it, not worrying about what could possibly happen, and just going on throughout the day. And to correlate that with life is, if you have bad grades, or you're having issues with your family, or having issues with your relationships, you don't want to keep avoiding it by not talking about it, or not communicating about it, or not trying to fix it, or anything like that. No, you want to come fix it. You want to figure out how you can fix it, figure out what you can do to make the situation better, what you can do to come up with a solution to the said problem. There could be a multitude of things that you can do, but you just have to face the problem head on. You have to figure out a solution right away. But yeah,